All right, so get this. Today we're diving into the world of orcas, but with a twist.
Yeah, a real head scratcher, this one.
We're talking orcas, dolphins. Kind of sounds like a bizarre family dinner.
You could say that. You know, when I first heard about this, I thought they were pulling my leg.
And it all went down because, get this, some seriously observant folks out on the water spotted something wild.
Citizen scientists, they're calling them. And thankfully, they had some pretty impressive drone footage to back it up.
Oh man, when you see this footage, okay, picture this. A pod of orcas right off the coast of Chile, the Menacho orcas, and they're chowing down on dolphins.
Not just a nibble here and there either. This was a full-on feast. Even saw a mother sharing her catch with her calf.
Hold on, back up a sec. Orcas eating dolphins? That doesn't seem normal.
It's not, at least not what we're used to. This is the first time it's ever been documented with this group and with this kind of dusky dolphins. It's groundbreaking stuff, actually.
Okay, this is blowing my mind. So what does this mean, big picture? Are these orcas special?
It might be that these guys belong to a very specific type of orca, an ecotype that we haven't seen this far south before.
Ecotype, you've got to break that down for me.
Think of it like dog breeds, right? You've got your Chihuahuas, your Great Danes, all dogs, but wildly different. Same with orcas, different groups or ecotypes with their own looks, diets, even languages.
Oh, orca dialects, that's wild.
And this dolphin dinner. Well, it's pointing towards these Menacho orcas being part of what scientists call type A orcas. Usually these guys hang out around New Zealand, Argentina, that kind of area.
So finding them in Chile, that's a pretty big deal then.
Huge. Imagine you're a bird watcher and you stumble across a rare bird one everyone thought only lived in, say, the Amazon. And there it is, chilling in your backyard. This is kind of like that.
So we're talking a possible range expansion for this type A ecotype.
That's what it's looking like, all thanks to a bunch of folks out enjoying the ocean.
So everyday people made this discovery. Tell me more. That's incredible.
Fiercely, they saw something out of the ordinary, they took pictures, and bam, scientific breakthrough. It just goes to show you don't need a fancy lab coat to contribute to science.
Love that. This is why we need more people out there. Eyes peeled, cameras ready.
Couldn't agree more. Especially with orcas, there's so much we still don't know. In fact, scientists actually classify orcas as data deficient. Crazy, right?
Data deficient, so we don't even know how well they're doing.
Sadly, that's about right. And that's why this whole Chilean orca situation is so huge. It's not just a cool nature story. It's a massive clue to help us protect these amazing creatures.
This is seriously making me rethink everything I thought I knew about orcas.
And we're just getting started. To really grasp why this all matters, we need to unpack what makes these type A orcas so unique.
Oh.
So, type A orcas, they're not just about that dolphin diet. They've got a whole different vibe going on.
Different vibe, huh? Lay it on me. What sets them apart?
Size, for one. These guys are massive, some of the biggest orcas out there. And their look, totally unique. Bold black and white patterns, nothing else like it.
So they're like the rock stars of the orca world?
Something like that. Oh, and their calls, those whistles and clicks, totally different from other orcas. Think of it like regional accents, but for whales.
No kidding. So it's not just what they eat, it's how they look, how they sound. It's like they have their own whole culture or something.
Bingo. You're getting it. Each type of orca has its own little niche in the ocean, its own way of doing things. So finding these type A's in a whole new place, it's like, are they adapting to a new menu, a new neighborhood? It's fascinating stuff.
Okay, so new neighborhood, new menu. But how does this tie into the whole conservation puzzle?
Think of it like this. You're trying to manage a forest, right? But you don't know which trees need the most sun, which animals depend on what plants. That's us with orcas, kind of flying blind.
Because we just don't have the data.
Exactly. So this sighting, it's a game changer. This isn't just a pit stop for them. This is a hunting ground. And probably even more important.
They're raising their families there. That image of the mother and calf sharing the dolphin.
Precisely. Those citizen scientists, they didn't just capture a cool photo op. They gave us a glimpse into a nursery, a vital spot for these orcas. And when we're talking about protecting a species, those babies, they're the future.
Makes you think about the dolphins, though, right?
Of course, every action has a ripple effect. It's a delicate dance out there, predator, prey, the whole ecosystem. We've got to understand those connections if we're going to protect them.
Especially in a place like the Humboldt Current, right? Isn't that one of the most I don't know, the word alive comes to mind with marine life.
One of the most productive in the world, which also means it's under a lot of pressure from us, from overfishing, pollution, you name it.
So the stakes are even higher to get this right.
No doubt about it.
You know, what really gets me about all this is that image of the orcas eating the Sunday dinner, as they called it. It just shows you don't need a lab coat and a microscope to make a huge scientific discovery.
It's the little things, right? Just
Yeah.
observing. And that description, it's not just about a meal. That mother carefully holding the dolphin for her calf, that speaks volumes about family, cooperation, and those are qualities we often associate with, well, with us.
Makes you realize orcas aren't just these scary predators. They've got families, traditions, maybe even cultures just as complex as our own. Humbling, isn't it?
It really is. But there's still so much we don't know. And to me, that just makes protecting them even more important.
Speaking of technology, those drones were key in all of this. That footage is incredible. It's like having a front row seat to a National Geographic special.
Technology is changing the game when it comes to studying wildlife. We can see things we never could before.
And in this case, they revealed a hidden world. Type A orcas, a dolphin dinner, all off the coast of Chile. Amazing what's out there when you know where to look.
And that's just it. There's so much more out there. And every new discovery just makes it clear we've got to protect these incredible creatures and their world.
So what comes next? Where do we go from here? What are the next steps for learning about these Menacho orcas? So much to think about. It feels like we're just scratching the surface here. What are researchers doing now to learn more about this Chilean orca group?
Well, the first thing is to figure out who these guys are, right? Like, are they sticking around Chile year-round, or is this just a quick stopover on a bigger trip?
How do you even begin to track orcas in the wild? I imagine that's not so easy.
Yeah, not exactly like putting a GPS tracker on your dog. But, scientists have some pretty cool tricks up their sleeves. There are these special tags that can be attached without harming the orcas that collect data on their movements.
Wow, so that's how they track their migrations, their favorite feeding spots, all of that.
Yep. And sometimes just having a good photo, like those ones snapped by our citizen scientists, can be enough. Researchers can identify individual orcas based on their markings.
So every sighting, every snapshot, it's another piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. It all adds up. And speaking of puzzles, those drone videos. Scientists will be poring over those for months, trying to decode their hunting techniques, how they coordinate, how they communicate during the hunt. And speaking of communication, they'll be analyzing those calls too.
The orca dialects we were talking about.
Exactly. Matching up those calls with what we know about other type A populations. It's like detective work, really piecing together the story of these orcas.
You know, I have to say, that whole Sunday dinner thing, it's really stuck with me. Is that like a common thing orcas do, that food sharing behavior?
It's pretty typical within families, especially mothers and calves. It's how the young ones learn. But there was something about the way the researchers described it, this almost, I don't know, a kind of ceremony to it that was really striking.
Like they weren't just eating, it was something more than that.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, what else is going on in those big orca brains, right? What kind of social intelligence are we just beginning to grasp?
It really challenges how we think about orcas, doesn't it? They're not just these black and white creatures in the ocean. They have families, social structures, traditions, and
Right.
cultures even.
That's the beauty of science, isn't it? Just when you think you've got a handle on things, boom, new discovery. And with orcas, we're really just getting started.
And that brings us back to conservation, doesn't it? Knowing what we know now, what can we do to protect these animals, especially with all the pressures we're putting on the ocean?
Well, for starters, we've got to protect their food. Those dolphins are a key part of the ecosystem, and overfishing is a huge problem. We can all do our part by choosing sustainable seafood.
Sustainable seafood. So, doing your research at the grocery store, making sure what you're buying is caught or farmed responsibly.
Exactly. And speaking of, contacting your representatives, supporting organizations working to protect our oceans, it all makes a difference.
It can seem overwhelming sometimes, like one person can't really do much.
Every little bit helps. Educating yourself about these issues, caring, talking about it with your friends and family, that's where it starts.
Raising awareness one conversation at a time.
That's it. And who knows, maybe those conversations will inspire the next generation of citizen scientists, the ones who'll make the next big discovery, capture the next Sunday dinner, and teach us even more about the incredible world of orcas.
What a thought to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. It's been eye-opening, to say the least. Remember, our oceans are full of wonders, and it's up to all of us to protect them. Until next time.